What if one drink could help you sleep better, recover faster, focus harder, and even help social anxiety dissipate to help you party harder? Well, that is exactly what Kava has been doing for centuries. So when's the right time to drink it? Well, my name is Heidi, and I'm the host of Kava and Kettlebells. I'm a certified personal trainer and a homeschooling mom to two.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I am Charles. I am the co-host of Kava and Kettlebells. We are a husband and wife duo, and we explore all things fitness and then botanical related. So anything non-alcohol, Kava, kratom, CBD, cannabis, all that kind of stuff. And we bring it together to show you kind of how to live a holistic lifestyle and hopefully live healthier. Now, today we're going to talk about when is the best time to actually drink Kava.
Now, the correct answer is
all the time.
All the time, anytime. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is a short episode. No, for real. So this is a question.
Done.
Done. Easiest episode ever. This is a question we get a lot, especially for people who are new to Kava. I think, when you think of, when you're used to alcohol, everyone kind of knows like when to drink alcohol. So it's kind of confusing for people, when do I drink Kava? Yeah. And traditionally, Kava was used by tribes for lots of reasons. It was used for spiritual reasons, for ceremonies, for just hospitality, for social bonding. It was used to, disputes, to help figure out disputes. It was used for just lots and lots of reasons, but we've definitely kind of Americanized it and we've made it our own. So today we'll kind of dive into when are some good times to partake.
Yeah, so like how you said, she says tribes. It was actually a plant that originated from the Pacific, right? So Oceania. So places like Fiji, Vanuatu, Samoa, Hawaii, right? Everywhere out in the Pacific, Kava was a mainstay as part of daily life. And just like she said, they used it for, ceremonies, religious purposes, coming of age type stuff. So, it does hold a very sacred place culturally out in the Pacific Islands. And then as it came over here to America, how it started being used primarily was as an alcohol replacement and also as an anxiety reliever, right? So right now there's a massive rise of Kava bars in the United States and non-alcoholic bars. And going to a Kava bar is very much the same experience as you would almost like going to like a coffee shop or a alcohol bar, right?
I would say, except for the alcoholic bar, you're always going to have people who are fighting and stumbling and making a fool of themselves. You won't have that at a Kava bar.
No, Kava relaxes you, opens you up. You never kind of lose faculties of your actual mind. And that's one of the reasons why we really love it. And again, like Kava itself, it is a GABAergic plant. So that means it acts on your GABA receptors. So it does give you feelings, because alcohol does kind of the same thing. But again, with Kava, there's no hangover. There's no, massive side effects like alcohol does. Whole other story, but we got away from alcohol because we do live a fitness, lifestyle, and we got a lot going on. So alcohol just set us back. So when we found Kava, originally, yes, we used it as a alcohol replacement. And for us, it was something that we primarily drank at the end of the day. So, most people go home after work or after a long, stressful day. What do they reach for?
A beer, glass of wine.
Yep. Or multiple beers, multiple glasses
a whole bottle of wine.
Yeah, which is not what you want to be doing if you want to have, any sort of kind of healthy lifestyle and a, positive and progression of your, fitness journey as well.
And one thing that alcohol, one other reason why we stopped drinking alcohol is when we became parents. When you become parents, like your kids don't care what you drank or what you did the night before. They're still going to be up at the same time. And it just didn't work to drink alcohol anymore. When you drink alcohol, even if it's just like one glass of wine, you feel crummy the next day. You don't get a good sleep. And that was really important for us to wake up refreshed and be able to be the best parents we could. And so that was a huge reason why we drank Kava, is for the sleep. And Kava is great at helping, there's different types, and we'll kind of get into that later in the episode, but there are certain types that are better, more sedative although they don't sedate you, but they're better for nighttime, better to wind down the brain, wind down the body, and ease you into sleep. And so that was huge for us.
Absolutely. And, again, going back to like, all right, so when should you drink kava? Now, the answer definitely depends on your intention and what you want out of kava. So, for us, it started as something where we would drink it in the evenings when we put our girls down for bed, and Heidi and I would drink kava because, again, it relaxes you, kind of puts you in a good mood, makes you a little bit more sociable,
makes you more talkative,
right? And you just like feel more optimistic about life in general. Like, I know if I've had a bad day and, I have a couple of shells of kava in me, I tend to be, just have like a kind of more clear outlook on life. I tend to be a little bit more centered, a little bit more grounded, and just relaxed, right? Because again, it is, and a lot of people use, and I'm not saying medical terms here, right? So talk to your doctor.
This is not medical advice. These are all anecdotal.
But a lot of people do use kava for anxiety relief, whether that's social anxiety. Kava is now being studied for PTSD relief. And just, as Heidi had mentioned earlier, kava, especially, certain types are really, really good for insomnia. So if you have trouble sleeping, having that kava before bed can really help you out. So again, for us, primarily, it started as an evening alcohol replacement. We kind of found it when I was in the military. And at that time, I was looking for other options besides alcohol because, again, alcohol kind of fell off the wayside, kind of earlier, even earlier in our, I want to say like our career, but kind of like our early 20s.
Yeah, I think even when we turned 21, we definitely drank before we were 21, drank alcohol before we were 21. And when we turned 21, I think we drank a little bit because it's like, oh, we're 21, we go to the bars, woo! But we weren't really super into the bar scene.
Wasn't our thing.
Yeah, and Charles started ROTC when he was at Arizona State University. And so he had to wake up super early for PT. And so very early in our 20s, shortly after we turned 21 is when drinking really reduced for us. And we would drink it here or there, special occasions, holidays, friends. And again, every time we drank it, we felt crummy. Like we didn't feel good.
No. And, for us, well, for me, fitness has always been a really big part of my life. And, I started finding that like I could not, even a glass of wine or a couple of beers, like that sleep that night and the next day, I would just notice, the recovery and, the physique aspects and, the training, all that kind of stuff. Like it really is impacted by alcohol. So I was looking for an alcohol, replacement. I still want something that we could have in the evening to, use and relax and, put it out there. But I was, very 420 friendly, but in the military, you cannot do that because you are drug tested, right? So it wasn't worth my career to be risking that. And I was, searching for, okay, what else can I use out there to sort of give me that relaxation, sort of that sociability and that sort of, slight mind shift. That's not alcohol. And then we found kava and we started drinking it. And in the evenings, it was great. But, there's also other ways you can use kava as well. And when we look at kava, right, kava is broken down into cultivars. So I'm going to use the cannabis analogy right here. Cannabis has strains, right? You have like your indica and your sativa and your hybrids. One, makes you really, really sleepy. And the other one kind of makes you a little bit more creative, a little bit more, focused, energetic. And the hybrid is kind of a balance between the two. Now it's the same thing with kava, except we call it
heady, heavy, and then balanced.
Yeah.
And so heavy, this is how I remember it. Heavy is like my eyelids are getting very heavy. And so heavy is more of that sedative, more of that nighttime. I don't like to say sedative because it's not going to knock you out.
Yeah, it's not Ambien.
It's not like Ambien. Although if you drink enough of it, like you'll be pretty couch locked. But it's, it's more for the evening. And then a heady is more of that euphoric, more daytime. And some, when it comes to botanicals, any botanical, your body has a very specific chemistry. So your body is going to respond differently than someone else's body. So even though something may say heavy, may say it leans more heady, you need to just try it for yourself and see how your body responds to it. Because there are some that are traditionally more heavy, so more for the nighttime, but it keeps people up. And there are some that are more heady, more euphoric daytime for most people, and it puts some people to sleep. And that's especially important with a balance. So a balance will be a little bit of both, but might lean a little more to one side than the other. And it's really important that you just try that balanced out for yourself and see how your body responds to it. There are some balance that people told us were like super great for sleep and they kept Charles up. And there are some that for a lot of people are super great daytime, but they might put you to sleep. So again, try it for yourself, see how it feels for you, but know that traditionally heavy is more for nighttime, heady is more for the daytime.
Yeah, and one cool thing about Kava too is I do think it has a place throughout the day, right? So yes, while it is, especially right now, it is being looked at as a big alcohol replacement. Kava bars, people go there in the evening.
They socialize, they want to have fun with their friends, which is great. That's a time.
But, also too, like what a cool thing about Kava bars is like a lot of them open at like 8 a.m. And the reason being is, again, when you drink Kava, you don't get drunk, okay? So you're not going to be slurring your words. You're not going to be out of your mindset. And a lot of times, especially with a good heady Kava, the one that's a little bit more creative, a little bit more socially uplifting, when you drink it, again, it kind of, it puts you in a good mindset. You're relaxed, but you're kind of focused. You're kind of sociable. So for a lot of people during the day, that's a great way to, collaborate, to go to the Kava bar and to work, right? Or, if you're doing if you have like a day date or it's the weekend and you're just kind of chilling out during the day and you just kind of want something, maybe you don't want to have a beer, maybe you don't want to, smoke a joint in the middle of the day.
Well, who doesn't want to smoke a joint in the middle of the day?
Yeah, right. I know some people do, right? But no, like Kava is really cool in that sense that, again, so cultivars are like the types, right? And, Vanuatu will have specific cultivars. Fiji doesn't really have a bunch of cultivars, but, Fiji has its own Kava. Hawaii has its own Kava. Solomon has its own Kava. Tonga, all these different places where it grows, it creates kind of all these different types of Kava, and they have different effects. And then when you buy Kava, usually it has what's called a chemotype. Now, a chemotype is a 6-digit string of numbers that tells you what kind of Kava lactones are in there. And Kava lactones are the active ingredient in Kava that gives it its psychoactive properties. Psychoactive, not psychedelic.
Yes, I feel like people get confused by that. So there's multiple times that, are good for Kava besides just socializing and hanging out. And a lot of the questions that we get is working out. Like, is Kava a good pre-workout? And generally speaking, it's not. Like, generally speaking, we use Kava more for like post-workout to help with our, muscle recovery. There is times though, we do know some people who Kava really helps them because going to the gym gives them anxiety and they get really anxious at the gym. They feel nervous. They don't like working out in front of people. And so drinking Kava before the gym helps them in that sense. Like, it helps them feel more comfortable, helps them feel more confident. It helps them feel more able to like socialize and just not care what people are thinking. But you have to be careful that you don't drink. Yeah, it's about how much you drink and what cultivar you're drinking, that you don't want it to relax your muscles too much. So it can be a good pre-workout, but you just need to play around with it for your body and figure out what's the right, Kava for you and what's the right dosage for you.
Like for me, I see the use case for pre-workout Kava. But I don't think it's good for like strenuous exercise. Because again, Kava, it really, no matter the strain, it still relaxes you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it still kind of relaxes you. Me personally, if I go to the gym, I'm trying to kind of sling the weights around, I'm trying to have a very intense exercise, and that would not put me in the right mindset. But again, for someone else who maybe is just going to the gym to, walk on the treadmill or do some stretching and things like that, not super high intensity exercise, yeah, maybe a more daytime heady kava at a medium to low dosage could be beneficial, right? Especially if you combine kava with caffeine. That's a thing, right? Even some
Yeah.
kava bars will have coffee mixed with kava.
And I've had that, especially like during the day working, I've had a combination of coffee and kava, and it's great. Like it's great for focus, and it helps give you like a clear mind. And I think the kava helps balance out any sort of jittery feeling you might feel from the caffeine. So that is a great, combination that might work really well for you, for focus for the gym. And I think what's also important to understand about kava is you use it as a tool. So if you are someone, we've talked to a lot of people who they do have social anxiety and they have this feeling inside of them of the person they are, but they don't feel like they can show the world. And they have all this stuff that they want to say and all this stuff that they want to do on the inside, but it's so hard for them to act that out on the outside. And Kava has been an amazing tool to help them be the person they are on the inside and let the world see that. And so you can use, especially if working out and going to the gym gives you anxiety, because I know it's really hard for a lot of people. If that's you, Kava might be a really great tool in small doses to help get you over that barrier and help you get comfortable at the gym and help you realize that honestly, the people at the gym are like the best people ever, and they are super supportive and not judgmental. And like Kava may be that tool that you need to help get past that hurdle to get into the gym and experience it for yourself to help you feel more comfortable. And then gradually you don't need the Kava and you can just do the thing on your own.
Yeah. And I even think just for in general, if someone has anxiety, social anxiety, or just say like just generalized anxiety, right? And again, I'm not making claims here. I'm not telling you to get off of any medications that you might be on for that specific disorder, right? But we know, a lot of people who even just before like, it's a daily thing, like before work, right? They'll have like kava capsules, and you'll see a lot of like, there is a lot of kava dispersed throughout dietary supplements that just kind of sneaks in there, right? They'll put in the formulas and stuff. And I've seen, stress formulas, and it'll have a little bit of kava in there, right? And that's usually like a kava extract, a lower dosage. But, for someone who does have anxiety and to start their day, yeah, they could have, some kava or, some kava extract, because kava extract, it doesn't really lean, sleepy or energetic kind of either way. It just kind of does give you that kind of like overall sense of like well-being, and I think that's a great way to start your day if you do have issues with anxiety and you need kind of something. I'm not saying it's a crutch, right? But if you want something natural to kind of help you through the day, we know plenty of people who do that. There's also a lot of formulas out there that include kava for that. Going back to kind of like the sleep stuff. So kava itself is, like I said, relaxing, and most kavas will end up helping you have a good sleep. But I will preface the saying this, that not all do. Like some people will have certain type of kavas and they'll be up all night. So again, I challenge you to make sure that you try a wide variety of kavas to see how it affects your body in general, right? A heavy kava will be better for the evening, nighttime to help you sleep, and in general, a heady kava will kind of be better for the daytime. That's not to say that you might have a heady kava and let's say like lunchtime, thinking it's going to help you be all creative and working.
And you get the slumpies.
You
get the yawnies. Yeah.
So, I think one thing too is important with kava is intention.
Yes, that is huge with kava, especially it's really important to respect and understand where kava came from, understand, the culture and the tribes and what they used it for. And although I think it's fair to use kava how you want, I think it is important to respect where it came from. And a big part of it is setting that intention, when you're making it. And, what do I want to achieve in drinking this kava? And I think it's really important to just think about that. Don't just drink it to drink it, but really ask yourself, why am I drinking this? Like, what effects do I want to have from this? And really set those intentions. And really, I think that helps a lot in helping you connect with your body and your mind and feel the kava and like feel what's actually happening and set those intentions and listen to your body, listen to your mind, and like, how is this affecting me? And so I do think that's really huge. And that's just part of, I think, respecting the culture of it and just in having a good experience with it is really asking yourself, what do I want to achieve from this? Setting those intentions and then chug it.
So I think in general, I think kava has a place, really kind of any time of the day, depending on, again, how you want to use the tool.
Yeah. What are your intentions?
Yeah. Again, for us, we typically, for us, kava is something for, again, the end of the day when we're relaxing, and instead of reaching for a beer or wine, we reach for our kava, right? And it relaxes you, it makes you feel good, takes the edge off the day, makes you a little bit more sociable.
Although we do it for, like we just finished a photo shoot and photos make us awkward. And so what did we do? We made kava before. We drank the kava. It helped us laugh a lot. It helped us just relax, enjoy the experience. And that was our intention. We said, we just want to enjoy this experience. And, and that helps. So, we mostly do it at night, but we have daytime experiences as well.
Absolutely. And I think, again, if you're new to kava, get a nice variety. A lot of the vendors out there will sell, packages to where it'll be different types of cultivars together. That way you can try them all out, instead of, going and buying in bulk, at once with a kava you never tried before, right? Try it out. Again, start with a little bit and then, go up to where you're having a decent amount. And remember, kava has a reverse tolerance. So that means that the first time you try it, it might not really hit you with the effects. But the more you drink it, the harder it will hit you and the less that you need. So it's a pretty cool botanical, just even in that sense in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we would love for you to drop in the comments, what are your favorite ways to use kava? What are your favorite cultivars? What is the intentions that you typically set before you drink kava? And yeah, let's share.
All right. Well, appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys. Welcome to Kava and Kettlebells, where we talk about kava, fitness, and life. Let's get kava-fied.